And Boris Johnson bowed out as Prime Minister today with a typically bullish speech in which he launched a robust defence of his legacy.
I'm proud to have discharged the promises I made to my party when you were kind enough to choose me. Winning the biggest majority since 1987, the biggest share of the vote since 1979. Delivering Brexit, delivering our manifesto commitments, including social care, reforming social care, helping people up and down the country, ensuring that Britain is once again standing tall in the world. Together, we have laid foundations that will stand the test of time, whether by taking back control of our laws or putting in vital new infrastructure. Great, solid masonry on which we will continue to build together.
But with Britain now battling the cost of a lockdown crisis, lawlessness and a crumbling NHS, is he right? Has the outgoing Prime Minister really made Britain a better country? Email me, Dan at gbnews.uk, tweet me at gbnews. Our poll running there too. But my super lineup are here to debate that question. Boris's former advisor, Kulveer Ranger, the former Conservative MP, Louise Mensch, and the broadcaster, Narinder Kaur. So, Louise Mensch, you think, looking at it on the whole, Boris has made a positive impact to Great Britain?
I really, really do. And how many prime ministers, having just won a fantastically large election victory, came in and faced the kind of problems that he did? I honestly think that we can say that Boris Johnson literally made Britain better, much to the annoyance of Donald Trump. Under him, we were the first country in the...
Oh, we're just having a look at someone entering Downing Street. Just lost you there, Louise. I'll let you know who that is shortly. Louise,
it's a fabulous dress, whoever it is. Good Lord, look at that. Anyway, as I was saying, Boris Johnson got us the COVID vaccine before anybody else, and he really has dealt with unprecedented crises. He's been a really strong wartime leader. The Ukrainians love us even more than they love the United States, and Boris can't help the enormous problems that he had to deal with. I think when we look back on it, we'll think that Partygate was a trivial thing to get rid of such a successful Prime Minister.
Narinder, when you listen to that from Louise Mensch, it's hard to argue, actually, that Boris, on the whole, look, he didn't do everything right. I've criticised him for lots of things, but on the whole, this was a consequential Prime Minister who changed Britain for the better.
Oh, my goodness, Dan. What planet are you and Louise on? How did he change Britain for the better? He was a dithering, dishonest, lying, scandalous leader. He's left Britain in tatters. What planet are you living on that he rolled out the vaccine? That's one little thing he did, and that was on the advice of the scientists.
What about delivering Brexit? What about delivering Brexit, Narinder?
He delivered Brexit, and what's happened with Brexit? You've got more illegal immigration than ever before. What exactly has Brexit achieved, Dan?
But remember, if Boris Johnson wasn't Prime Minister, the elites in this country, the establishment in this country would have overturned the biggest democratic vote in British history. And just imagine the consequences of that.
Dan, he delivered Brexit almost illegally as well. He did not deliver it. Yes, he did.
How?
He tried to prorogate Parliament. He lied to our Queen. He lied to our Queen about why he wanted to prorogate Parliament as well. And I'm sorry, Brexit has not delivered. More people who voted Brexit now are regretting that. We've got more illegal immigration than ever, Dan. And we don't have the workforce. Our labour force is suffering. We don't have the nurses.
OK, Narinder, I want to bring Kulveer in because Narinder does make a very fair point there, doesn't she? I disagree with most of what she said, but unfortunately, Boris is going to have to accept that he did not stop the illegal migrant crisis and what is now, I believe, a national emergency on the Channel, Kulveer.
I think you're right. There is a point there. But when we look at the pantheon of prime ministers, modern-day prime ministers, and what they'll be remembered for, and you're asking, Dan, has he left the country in better state than he found it? Well, he met the head-on the big decisions. And the big decisions, as we will keep saying, and whatever Narinder says, dealing with COVID and getting ahead of the vaccine placed us in a position globally to come out of this economic catastrophe in better shape, and we did do.
We had more deaths in Europe. We had more deaths than the rest of Europe. We did not successfully do
Narinder,
anything.
you need to check your facts, Narinder, because actually, if you look now at excess mortality and you look at it on the whole, the UK was actually one of the top performing countries.
Yeah.
I will say, Louise Mensch, though, I do think Boris made a huge mistake by giving in to the health establishment and the scaremongers on stage, and he locked down the country, Louise. And actually, even though I'm a supporter of Boris, I do find the lockdowns quite unforgivable.
Well, I know that the trouble is, isn't it? It's the dog that didn't bark in the night. We will never know what would have happened if he didn't do the lockdowns. We can't go into alternative history. But I want to make one thing about this idea of illegal immigration. She's right. We've got activist judges, and as a result, it's been very hard to tackle the problem of illegal immigration. But that's not the point about Brexit. The point about Brexit was that loads and loads of immigration that we could not afford was legal under the EU. It was allowed. It was legal.
But now we have more illegal. But now we have more illegal because of Brexit.
Off the table, and we brought in a points-based system, and that was one of the key things that Brexit voters really
and I
wanted.
think very often, Kulveer, that's forgotten when the legacy of Boris Johnson and Priti Patel is discussed. Sure, this channel emergency, that was not solved, but the points-based system was a complete overhauling of our immigration system, which will serve us very well in the future.
It will. And I think also, let's not forget that Brexit has positioned us with our trade agreements and the way we have bilateral agreements ahead as we move from a globalised world into a more nationalistic world, whether we like it or not, Dan. COVID has done that. We look at the energy crisis. We can see countries deciding as a national basis how they will secure their energy supplies. And we are ahead in that conversation. We are ahead in how we are positioned.
Where are we ahead, Kulveer? I'm shocked you're saying that. Where? We're in an energy crisis. We are in the worst cost of...
OK, Narinder, you've asked a question. Let Kulveer respond.
Like Germany.
That has positioned us. And we have to also remember that we want to know that this Prime Minister has left us with the lowest level of unemployment in modern day history. That, again, is based on leaving an economy in a position that could deal with these robust challenges.
Louise, I think you wanted to come in there.
I agree with him completely. You cannot overlook the macro things that Boris Johnson did. Really low unemployment, taking back control of how we regulate our borders. It's now up to us. We're not bound by the EU.
You're not winning. You're not winning. You're losing.
Well, we're not the ones like Germany who are desperately dependent on Russian gas. We now have control over our own destiny, in large part thanks to Boris Johnson, who without him we simply wouldn't have Brexit. And I think
you are deluded. I think you are deluded. I don't know what Britain you're living in today, but it's not the Britain I'm living in today. We are living in a disaster.
So Narinder, I just want to dial down on that. What is it most that you are shocked by living in Britain today, Narinder? Is it the crime? Is it lawless Britain? Because I think that is a huge issue.
The crime in lawless Britain is a huge issue right now. That's always been a huge issue, though. That's not just a Boris Johnson issue. I think the biggest thing is our cost of living crisis that we're under now, the energy crisis. I don't know what Louise and Kulveer are saying, that we're in a better position. How are we in a better position? People are going to freeze and people are going to die. What planet are you living on? What position are you speaking
Narinder,
from?
I actually think that's really irresponsible scaremongering, because you should wait a couple of days for the plan that's going to be announced.
That's to help the rich people, Dan. This plan is going to help the richer companies. It's not going to help the working classes, Dan.
What if energy bills are frozen?
Well, the tax cuts, then she's not giving the tax cuts to the energy companies who are going to be making billions of profit. That's what she should have been doing.
Dan, I think, Narinder, you have to recognise that COVID happened. This government, Boris Johnson's government, helped the people who needed help to get through this, both from a health perspective.
They locked us down.
They helped businesses, they helped people, they helped everybody to get through this. I think
they kept us locked like animals in our homes.
Not helping the average person.
Narinder, I'm sorry. The left in this country, and especially Keir Starmer, would probably still have us locked in our homes.
I agree, and that's why I stopped voting Labour. I agree with you on that.
A fascinating, spirited debate. Thank you so much to the broadcaster, Narinder Kaur, the former Boris advisor, Kulveer Ranger, and the former Conservative MP, Louise Mensch.